We were busy with this hadith of Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha when her brother passed away on the outskirts of Makkah to Mukarramah. They went to visit him. Then she mentioned two things. She mentioned a poem. Now the poem, I translate the poem for you. وَكُنَّا كَنَدْمَانَيْ جَزِيمَةَ that we, now this wasn't her own poem. This was the poem of a poet from Ayam Jahiliyyah. It means pre-Islam, right? So we were like the two companions of Jazima, Hiqbatan for a long time in the Dahri, for a long period of the time. So we were so close, حتى قيل لا يتصدعا, until it was said that we will not separate. We were so close. Like you see two people, they are close all the time. Say these two, they will never separate. So we were so close, right? فَلَمَّا تَفَرَّقْنَا. So as Aisha Siddiqa saying, she and her brother Abdurrahman ibn Abi Bakr, we were so close that people would say we would never separate, right? فَلَمَّا تَفَرَّقْنَا. But when we separated, right? كَأَنِّي, as though me, وَمَالِكًا and Malik, just a person, right? لِطُولِ اجْتِمَاعٍ. Despite, you must write there, it was read at least, despite our closeness, as though lam nabit laylatan ma'an, as though we never spent one night together even. You understood that? So when we were together, people will say, yo, these people are so together, so close together, they'll never separate from each other. But then when we separated from each other from a long while, as though we were never together. So she's making a reference, as Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, she's making a reference to her closeness with him. And then when after Nabi Sam passed away, after Abu Bakr passed away, then he separated. Although they say he became a bit naughty afterwards, even because according to some riwayat, if I remember correctly, you know when we done the shahadat of Hazrat Uthman, that he grabbed Hazrat Uthman by his beard. And Hazrat Uthman said, Abdurrahman, are you like you the son of Abu Bakr? How can you do such a thing? But then he left it. He desisted. Then he refrained. Then he left. Then he feel guilty. So he, so to say, he did drift away a little bit. So to say, Allah Taala forgive him if he done anything wrong, whatever. But I don't know how authentic that riwayat is. But did I mention that to you? No, I mean, did we do that in the lesson? Right. So she's making a reference to they being so close together, and then them separating after that again, as though so like if we are so close, people say, "Yo, these two people never separate," and after that, they were so distant, as though they were never together. That's what they say. So the history here is quite interesting. There's some interesting things about this poem here. Um, right, they're saying that it's two separate poems actually. Actually, it is two separate poems because here in the فَلَمَّا تَفَرَّقْنَا كَأَنِّي وَمَالِكًا. So that's the first one is one poem, and the second one is a separate poem. So it is said in the book called Mu'jabul Buldan, it is said that the author of these poems was the name of the author. His name was Tamim ibn Nuwaira. And interesting, that's why his brother's name was Malik ibn Nuwaira. His brother's name was. Now, if you study the Ridda Wars, the Ridda Wars is after Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed away. I told you, many from amongst the Arabs, they just accepted Islam. Obviously, not the close companions. They just accepted Islam because they saw everybody's accepting Islam and we'll get left out, etc., etc. So some people refuse to pay zakat. Some people said they'll discharge their own zakat. Some people said that some people claim prophethood, Aswad Anasi, etc., Musailamatul Kadhab, etc. So there was a person by Malik bin Nuwaira also. He was on the outskirts somewhere, maybe Yemen side, something like that, right? So he also became murtad, right? And in the battle of Yamama, he got killed. So this was So Malik bin Nuwaira was what? He was the leader of his people. So it is mentioned that he became murtad, right? And he had a very, very, very beautiful, pretty wife, right? He had a very pretty wife. So what had happened was Hazrat Khalid bin Walid spoke to him, and according to his assessment, Hazrat Khalid bin Walid understood he's still a murtad. Hazrat Khalid bin Walid understood he's still a murtad. So he had him killed. Man irtadda an deen, man baddala deenahu faqtuluhu. That's a hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Whoever changed his deen, you must kill him. Did anybody hear the story before? You heard the story before. You heard the story before. هل سمعت عن هذه القصة من قبل؟ ما سمعت. Right. So Hazrat Khalid bin Walid had him killed, and he took his wife captive. She was very, very pretty, and he took her for himself. I read this in a book of Khalid the Saifullah. They also make reference to this, but they're not saying this part. So his brother, so his name was Malik bin Nuwaira, but his brother Tamim ibn Nuwaira, he was very unhappy, and he said, no, my brother, he accepted Islam again, and he shouldn't be killed, etc. He shouldn't be killed. That he left his irtidad and he became a proper Muslim. But nevertheless, the matter came in front of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Right. But Hazrat Abu Bakr listened to the matter, but he exonerated Hazrat Khalid bin Walid. But at the same time, he paid his diyat from the Baytul Mal. You understand what I'm saying? So this is also one of the places where the Shias, because remember the Shias, they hate the Sahaba Ikram, and they only accept 4 people. I told you, Hazrat Bilal, Hazrat Abu Zar al-Ghafari, and Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Fatima, and their 2 sons, all others. So they also make this a point of contention, and they use us and say, Khalid, whatever, whatever. But the ulama have written in detail to exonerate Hazrat Khalid. But anyway, that's a separate subject. But so here he's saying, so this is Tamim ibn Nuwaira, the brother of Malik ibn Nuwaira. He's saying, فَلَمَّا تَفَرَّقْنَا كَأَنِّي وَمَالِكًا. So when we separated, يعني Tamim ibn Nuwaira, when he got killed by Khalid, right? كَأَنِّي وَمَالِكًا. Despite our litul ijtima'in, despite our lengthy period together, lam nabit laylan ma'ana, as though we did not spend one night together even. Understood? So here what we're saying is, as Aisha Siddiqa is the same grief that Tamim ibn Nuwaira expressed in the form of this poem. As Aisha Siddiqa is expressing this grief. Are you with me? Then so that's the first part, ne? Ka'anni wa malikan. So I told you now as a reason. Then Juzaima, what is Juzaima about? See, wa kunna kanadma nay Juzaima tahiqbatan. We were, yani Malik, Tamim was saying that he and Malik was like the 2 companions of Juzaima. And Aisha is now copying him, and she's saying that me and Abdul Rahman, we are like the 2 companions of Juzaima. Are you with me? So Juzaima's full name was Juzaima Abrash, and he was a famous king in Arabia before Islam. And then there was a young girl, her name was Zaba. Zaba Alif. Zaba was the princess of a king. Right? And it's mentioned that the Zaba, she was a young princess, the daughter of the king. She was extremely beautiful. She was extremely pretty. And she had long, beautiful hair. To such an extent, she had such long hair, she could cover her whole body with her hair. She could cover herself up with her hair. Long, beautiful, strong hair, right? So that shows you in previous time, people do consider long hair as a thing of beauty. But nowadays, the shorter the hair, they think they smart. They look smart when today when the women cut their hair and they have short hair, they think they look pretty. They think they look good. They think they look smart. But since time immemorial, long hair was a point of beauty for women, right? So there's Juzaima ibn Abrash. Juzaima ibn Abrash. He was a king, obviously, and this girl's father was also a king. But he had this girl, like now you have territorial war, turf wars, whatever, like how the king wanted to expand his colony, etc., etc. he had this girl's father killed. So king killed Zaba's father, right? Then after she was killed, so the girl's father, Zaba's father, was killed by Juzaima bin Abrash. Then she ascended the throne and she became the Malika. She became the queen, so to say. And she didn't want to get married. They say like prominent kings. I'm not sure how long before Islam this was, but they're saying this was before Islam. Big prominent kings. They proposed to her, but she was not interested in marriage. She was only consumed by one thing, and that is to avenge the death of her father. She was consumed by that. So interesting, the same king Juzaima bin Abrash, he then proposed to this princess. And then she saw now here's the opportunity. So she accepted the proposal, so to say. And then in her mind was that the only reason why she's accepting the what you call it, the proposal was to get back at this person, right? So the date was fixed, etc. The king Josaima bin Abrash came with his army. So just Josaima, he had one minister, his name was Qasir. And he told the king, you know what? The bereaved, they never forget. If you kill somebody, the family of the people, they will never ever forget. They will always have that hatred and that malice in your heart. And here, the fact that she accepted, there's something suspicious here. There's something suspicious here. And she warned the king, but he was consumed in his desire for her, whatever. So when he came there eventually, this Queen Malika, what happened? She had him apprehended by her guards, and she had him hung up, and she killed him in the most gruesome and brutal way. And then she buried him close to the grave of her own father also. She buried him close to the grave of her own father. Then Juzaima's minister, Qasir, then this wazir, Juzaima's Qasir, he eventually, he managed to, I don't say give the details here, but he managed maybe to conquer or whatever the kingdom of this lady, and he had her apprehended. But before he could have her killed, she had a vial of poison with her. And she said, I'd rather kill myself instead of being killed by this person, right? I'm going to die at my own hands. I'm not going to die at the hands of Qasir. So she drank the poison, and then she fulfilled the wish of avenging her father, and eventually she drank the poison and she died away, right? So yeah, Juzaima bin Abrash, this king, he had two brothers. One's name was Malik and the other's name was Aqil. They stayed with their brother, was a king for over 40 years. And it seemed like they would never ever separate. And you know, their companionship became darwul misal. Like, when anybody wants to do um example of close companionship, like if, for example, there's somebody in this madrasa, they say absent often, right? Then another person starts staying absent. You say, oh, you are to be like this guy here. You are the so and so of this class. You know what I'm saying? So amongst the Arabs, if anybody was very close, then you say kanad ma nay juzaymata. Kanad Ma'day, Juzaymata. These people are as close as the companions of Juzayma. Are you with me? And then they were separated. A time came when they were separated, right? To such an extent that you say they were never ever together. So when two people are very, very close and then they drift apart, and what you say, like, kanad ma'anay Juzaymata. You understood that? فهمت الآن? Yusuf, you understood? If two people are very, very close, maybe you and Mu'adh, you are very, very close, people say you'll never separate. But after that, you left him and you ran away, you say, كجزاء كند معني Juzaymata. You were like the two companions of Juzayma, very, very close people, so you'll never separate. And afterwards, you'll never say that you're even together. You never say you are together, right? So as Aisha Siddiqa was making reference to this, that they were so close, but I told you, maybe I'm giving my own thing here. If it's wrong, you don't have to accept it. If it's right, you can accept it. Abdul Rahman became a bit, he drifted a bit away. He got involved with the wrong crowd. That's why he was also, I'm not sure what the strength of that riwayat is, that he was there with the Balwa is. But I know I heard it from few people. And we also done it in that Aqidatul Tahawiyah. So we were so close and then you drifted apart, right? You understood that? So as Aisha is using two examples here. One is of the two companions of Juzaima, and she's using of Malik ibn Nuwaira and Tamim ibn Nuwaira. Are you with me? Okay, so that was just a history, some interesting history with regards to the actual poem. But as Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala mentions two important things here. Remember, she was the mufti of this ummah. That you should have been buried there. Hear what she's saying. ثم قال والله لو حضرتك ما دفنت إلا حيث مت. You should have been buried there where you passed away. It was no need for you to bring you all the way into Makkah. So from that you learn that a person should be buried where he passes away. And also comes in the hadith also that a person who passes away from home, then there's a lot of fazail, as much as the distance between where he's buried and where his home is, the grave will be expanded so wide, etc., etc. I don't know if you came across that. That's the first thing. And then the second thing she shows, she says, look here, if I met you before you passed away, then I wouldn't have come to the qabr. I wouldn't have come to the qabr. I wouldn't have come here. Let's see that part there. Look at that part there, what she's saying. وَلَوْ شَهِدْتُكَ مَا زُرْتُكِ. So that she's trying to say that it is inappropriate for a woman to come to the graveyard. You understand what I'm saying? So although some ulama have said that some ulama have given permission, they said if a lady in the Hanafi madhab, if it's an oldish lady, not like a young lady, there's no fear of fitna, she goes at a time when it's quiet, and she's not going to warn, was it not going to wail and mourn and scream, etc., etc., then there is permissibility to go. But still it's better because people will misunderstand. They'll see here there's a lady going, they'll think, oh, now it's fine to go, but you know, they won't fulfill the quyud. You understand what I'm saying, Luqman? They will just look at, here's a lady, but they won't look at the 3-4 conditions. What's the 3-4 conditions? She must be oldish. She mustn't be a young lady, not a young lady. And then she must be obviously properly dressed. And she's not going to wail and mourn. So some ulama have given that conditional permission to go. But as I said, if people see that, they're not going to look at all those conditions. They're just going to go and abuse the thing anyway. So that was some interesting bit of history from Ayyam Jahiliyyah. Okay, read the next hadith, inshallah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The written authority of Abi Rafi said that Rasulullah took Sa'd in from the head side, right? and then he poured water on his qabr also. So in other words, I told you, after a person passed away, especially with the desert sand, which is very, very loose, maybe the wind will blow it away, put some water to keep it firm. I'll read the next one.
وعن ابي هريره رضي الله عنه ان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى على جنازه ثم القبر فحثى عليه من قبل راسه ثلاثا.
Okay, narrate the authority was Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, said Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to a qabr. Fahatha means to take with your hand and throw, sprinkle with your hand. So he sprinkles from his hand from the side of the head, Thalathan. I told you there's a riwayat that was, I think it mentioned, Tariq Qutni mentioned that to do three handfuls. One handful, minha khalaqnakum, one handful, wa minha nu'idukum, and another handful, wa minha nukhrijukum taratan ukhra, to throw a third handful. That is mustahab to do that for the men, right? So yeah, also another proof for that Nabi Sallallahu threw the handfuls in, right? Next one.
حزن رضي الله عنه قال وعن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم متكئا على قبر قال لا تؤذي صاحب هذا القبر او لا تؤذيه.
Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The right authority of Amr ibn Hazm, he said that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saw me muttaki'an, resting upon a qabr, leaning on it. So he said, do not la tu'zi or la tu'zi sahib hadha al-qabr, the inmate of this qabr, or la tu'zihi, or la tu'zihi, do not harm him. La tu'zi hadha sahib hadha al-qabr, or la tu'zi, Rawa Ahmad, Imam Ahmad narrates. So from this hadith you learn also that to respect the qabr of the deceased. Remember we done earlier in the hadith that you won't trample on the grave, you won't to take a shortcut over the grave, etc. So how you respect a living person, you don't trample upon him, you don't harm him, etc., etc. Here too also you won't inconvenience the deceased by desecrating the grave, defecating, urinating, leaning on it, trampling on it. You go respectfully, make dua, recite, etc., etc. Okay, Simon Azim was not here. Let's start a new chapter. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Babul Buka'i al-Mayti, chapter of crying upon the deceased. قال الله تعالى, Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. And give glad tidings to those people who exercise sabr. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ, those people who when a difficulty afflicts them, قَالُوا, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ, verily to Allah, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ, from Allah Ta'ala we come, وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون, and verily to him we will return. So when a person loses a close family member, parent, grandparent, sibling, spouse, offspring, etc., it is natural that a person will experience grief. Grief is a tab'i thing. Tab'i thing means what? It is the quality, innate quality of man. Allah Ta'ala has created man like that. So to feel grief is a natural thing. What we term as in Sharia as غير ikhtiyari. It's not a thing that you can choose and control. Like how you want to take your hand, you want to move from here to there. You got it's in your own control violation. But to feel grief, that is a natural thing, right? Islam is a complete religion. We won't say religion, we say it's a deen, it's a way of life. And it is even given us guidance with regards to how we handle this grief. Even for this grief, there is qawaid and there is zawabit. So here also Islam has guided us and shown us that here also there should be moderation. We should keep our emotions in check. Yes, you can't control that grief. but how you express that grief. To scream, to wail, to mourn, and to object to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For 3 days you are allowed to interrupt your schedule, etc. So it doesn't mean you mustn't feel sad after 3 days. You obviously naturally you feel sad after 3 days, but you shouldn't purposefully mourn. Others the ghair ikhtiyari, that which is not in your choice, that which is out of your choice. That obviously it will extend beyond 3 days, will extend for months, and sometimes even maybe it will extend for years. But the voluntary grief in Sharia that has been kept CAPPET, it has been kept with 3 days. So yes, we know that. So for the non-wife, after 3 days they have to try to normalize. But we know for a wife, it is 4 months, 10 days, ne? So she won't beautify herself, etc., etc. She's not allowed to go out of the house except at the time of need. Okay, Mu'ana Nasim is able to stop there. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow. Subhanallah. Inshallah, I'm going today for my first appointment after starting the medication. Please we all to make special dua, inshallah, that the appointment goes well, inshallah.